Hey team, it's me, Lincoln. It's been a while. I've been a little sick for the last few weeks, maybe COVID, been pretty fatigued, still am, and trying to figure out what's going on with me. But besides that, I've been having fun. Haven't had too much to say on the channel, so I haven't. Um, this is my interval right now, my cadence. I come out in every month and release some videos and then hop back to my 9 to 5 and focusing on that because, like I say in my video from last month, times are going to get rough and you have to make sure you're investing in your career to make sure that when things do get rough, you're not one of the people who are getting laid off. And if you are laid off, that you can easily get a new job. So I am focusing on my career right now, as I always do, but really honing in to be a top performer, as I always try to be, but to be more so that. But I've been reading books this year, and as I always do, I read a few books every year, and not too many because I'm always building things, always trying to be an operator instead of someone who's just reading for the sake of reading. I've read a couple of very impactful, insightful videos or books this year. One of them I did a video on. It's called Buy the Dip, Sell the Kodak, and it's about Seth Godin's The Dip. And after that, I started reading the U.S. history in 5 crashes, and that just confirmed everything that I've ever thought about investing and all of the crap nonsense that the analysts tell us about short-term and long-term investing and just all of the gimmicks out there. And I'll do a video on that once I reread it in paper form because I read books via Audible. So I want to just take some actual notes and convey that to all of you in my own words. And then now I'm working towards finishing The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. Amazing author, love his work, start with why. And he's like Malcolm Gladwell in the way that he tells stories. I love the way they just weave the stories together to make their points along the way, come back to it, and just reinforce what they've been saying throughout the book. And this book, The Infinite Game, is no departure from that. It's well written. It's highly insightful from start to almost finish where I am right now. And I've told my patrons at patreon.boacademy.org that these books are must reads. I've been telling them that, and some of them are reading it. Every time I read these books, it's like I'm picking them to reinforce my ideas, but I'm not. I just find great authors and read their work, and every time I read it, it's like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell people on my channel, boacademy.org. This is what I preach. Long-term investing, and to ignore the noise. And it just feels good to know that I'm not crazy, and what I'm telling you all here is grounded, and that somebody else agrees, that you find great companies with great leaders and the ones that are going to help usher in the future that you want to see, and you buy, you hold, and you continue to invest in them for the long term and help them achieve those goals that they set out, so long as they continue to work towards those goals and deliver on the steps that they promise to take. And reading this book, The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, which is about playing a infinite game and how it's completely different from a finite game, which is what most people play, that they just see a game that is win or lose and is today and tomorrow. But infinite games don't work that way. There are no winners and losers in infinite games. All there are people who are doing well and continue to want to do better, and those who think that they're playing a finite game, that they think that they can win or lose. That's the 2 options. Either you're playing to continuously do better and serve a just cause to better the people that you work with, your company, your society, and of course make money in the process in order to continue to serve that just cause even better and more efficiently and for the longer term. Or you're playing a finite game in which you believe that you have to beat everyone every single day and be better than them, or you lose. That you think that there's winners and losers. There's not. In the infinite game, which is what we should all be invested in, companies that are built to last, like an Apple, that's what sets Apple apart from the rest. They play the infinite game so well They don't care about winners and losers today. And they don't care to be the absolute best today or measure the specs of their products to the likes of Microsoft. They say, hey, I understand Microsoft built a great Zoom. I have no doubt about that. But we're going to continue to do better, build better products, and serve the needs of our customers. We'll see Microsoft as a great rival, and we'll learn from what they did well and what they didn't do well, and we'll apply that. We'll iterate, we'll learn, and we'll build better products in service of our just cause, which is to empower our customers, our community, to compete with the big guys, the big companies, to be creative. That's our just cause. We're going to continue to serve that. That's what matters to us at Apple. Helping people think different. So we're not going against Steve Ballmer and his Zune.
Finally, Ina Fried caught up with Steve Ballmer and found out about the whole Microsoft Zune music player Wi-Fi thing.
Well, if we're going to come with a Zoom with 802.11 built in. Of course, all PCs have 802.11 built in. Of course, no iPods have 802.11 built in, so there's certainly no disadvantage. We're starting from scratch to build a community of entertainment aficionados. So he doesn't know either. Fair enough.
We don't care what they're doing. We see it, we acknowledge it, we learn from it, but we're not trying to beat them today or tomorrow. We're just trying to serve our just cause. And Apple has done that repeatedly. And when things change, when times change, when new information arises, they reflect on it and they say, hey, I know we spent all this money in this investment over here and we haven't even launched it yet, but the society is changing, the industry is changing. We might want to go along. We should go along. We must go along in order to continue to serve our just cause. But then the book gets into these stakeholders and these shareholders and how some of them might not be acting in the best interest of the company and their success in the infinite game. And this is where Wall Street and short-term investors and traders come into play, where they're playing a finite game. They want to see you win today. And if you look like you're losing tomorrow, they're going to drop you. They're going to sell your shares. They don't care about your just cause. They don't care about serving your customers and your community and society. All they care about is line goes up. And line goes up to the moon fast or I'm out. Because I won't be here in the future. I don't care about you or your customers or the stakeholders. Because shareholder capitalism has taken over erroneously. Everyone believes that the only responsibility of a company is to maximize profits. That's dumb. That's not all that matters. And in fact, if you focus on maximizing profits, chances are you're not a very good company, because a company that just makes money isn't doing much else. And so this is what Simon talks about and talks through, and it's just, I just love it. I love it. He's speaking to the choir, to me as a listener, as a reader of his book, because this is what I've been telling you all here for 2 years now on BoldAcademy.org on YouTube. And I appreciate those of you who have been here with me through this journey since July 5th, 2020, in the midst of the pandemic. And I know I've lost many people along the way, because most people are not focused on the infinite game. All they care about is getting their quick wins in the cryptos and the GameStops and the AMCs. And most of them get burnt. That's just how the finite game works. Either you win or you lose, and most people are losers. That's just how it is. There can only be a few winners in the finite game. That's how finite games work. There are winners and there are losers. But if you focus on the long term, on the infinite game, you decide what your success looks like. you give yourself a better chance at actually seeing a successful future. Because you're playing for more than just a quick win or resulting in a loss. You're playing a game that most people fail to even engage. And so you have a much better chance of seeing success and upside than most people, by definition. And so we get back to Wall Street and how they just destroy companies who want to play the infinite game, which is the better game to play, as we just discussed, that Apple's playing, that Disney has been playing for a long time, and Kodak once was playing, and IBM may still be playing, but is not so sure at this moment. But they've been around for quite a long time, and that's because they've been adapting. And so they've been playing the infinite game for a long time. And sometimes you get new leadership and they stumble and they think they're playing the finite game and they set the company back, like Steve Ballmer of Microsoft. But then if you have people who care, stakeholders and shareholders, like the board of directors who care about playing the infinite game, they eventually find a good leader like Satya Nadella, and they get the company back on track, playing the infinite game. And that usually works out very well for them in the long term. But in the short term, the Wall Street people, analysts, and very smart people like Jim Cramer and all the people on CNBC who tell you, oh, this stock is not doing well today, sell it. And this stock is doing all right, but I think tomorrow is going to go down, so sell it. And I don't like this company because today the sky is gray, sell it. And I don't like the way he gave his employees a raise, sell the stock. They're so focused on the short term that they often miss out on all of the upside potential of the long term. And that's why you see someone like Jim Cramer told you to sell Tesla back in 2010. Sure, it was maybe the right choice in the short term in the finite game, maybe. But the infinite game, you've seen that. You've seen the results of that. And as I read this book, I was just thinking back to my top investment, SoFi, and Anthony Noto, the leader of that company. And I was benchmarking what Simon Sinek was saying in this book to how I've observed Anthony Noto lead SoFi since 2017, 2018. We've done a series of videos on SoFi's history, the scandal, and then how Anthony Noto stepped in and revived the company, built a whole new culture focused on serving a just cause, which is helping their customers get their money right so they can live a better life in a more fulfilled life with less stresses. And he's been doing that very well. And so that's why when I tell people I'm invested most of my money in SoFi, they think I'm crazy because they don't know what I know. They don't know that I'm investing in leadership, not in whatever stock price it is today and tomorrow. I'm investing in great leadership who believe in playing the infinite game by what I can see from their performance and their habits and what they say, the way they speak about the company. I've learned so much from this book. I've learned a lot from the history of the US in 5 crashes. And everything I've learned from those 2 books in just this year has just reinforced what I preach on this channel, which is the bull mentality. Now, I always tell you guys, I'm not a financial advisor, but what I'm doing and what I believe that everyone should do, everyone who believes in the long term, building a better future for themselves, giving them their future selves a better life, the one that they can have today. You struggle today. You delay gratification today. You do things that may not be the best in the short term, but yield the greatest returns in the long term, so that you serve that just cause. That's it. Continuously serving the just cause. And if you're investing in companies that serve the just cause and believe in the infinite game, then there's no reason not to practice the bull mentality. And it's embedded in the bull mentality, because the bull mentality is that we know what we invest in, We understand what we invest in. We believe in what we invest in, and we hold for the long term. 2 years now, I've been saying this because that's how we build wealth. That's how we give ourselves the best chance of success on the stock market. That's the bull mentality. And it's in service of a just cause. And so you should be investing in companies that are in service of a just cause. And if you do that, practicing the bull mentality becomes that much easier because you can trust the company to do what's in the best interest of its stakeholders, not just its shareholders, because you don't want a company that just focuses on the shareholders. Those companies usually fail very hard. We saw that with Kodak. The company that brought the camera to the masses saw the digital transformation, the digital camera movement coming because they invented it, they had the patents to it, they made money from it, but they refused to cannibalize their own business, which was those cameras with the film you take to CVS to get developed. They refused to impede on the success of that business, that legacy business, because it was doing so well for them, and gave up the opportunity to lead the industry and society into the digital era. And not too long later, they filed for bankruptcy after their patents on a digital camera ran up. It's happened over and over. This book gives so many examples of it. And it also gives examples of companies that did the opposite, like Apple. When Xerox created the first graphical user interface.
A more graphical way to do things would make this business computer more accessible.
After an hour looking at demos, they understood our technology and what it meant more than any Xerox executive understood it after years of showing it to them.
Basically, they were copier heads that just had no clue about a computer or what it could do. And so they just grabbed defeat from the greatest victory in the computer industry. Xerox could have owned the entire computer industry today. Could have been, a company 10 times its size. Could have been IBM. Could have been the IBM of the 90s. Could have been the Microsoft of the 90s.
Apple had just invested in some other technology, all their money, but Steve Jobs said, hey, we just did that. We just invested all that money, but we have to scrap it. This GUI, G-U-I, graphical user interface, that's the future. We need to set our sights on that in service of our just cause, which is to enable our customers, our community, to be creative and bring their ideas to life.
He wanted you to be great. And he wanted you to create something that was great.
And the graphical user interface is going to do just that. It's going to allow us to do just that. And so they scrapped all that work that they did because they had a great leader in Steve Jobs who was focused on the infinite game, not just serving shareholders and saying, oh, I'm going to maximize profits this quarter so I can increase my bonus and make Wall Street happy and not see my share price go down in the short term. No, he's focused on what's going to get us to the future. And then once we're there, what's going to get us to the next milestone that serves the just cause even better and continuously. And we've seen the results. Kodak went bankrupt. Apple is the most valuable company ever. And now they have another CEO in Tim Cook who seems to be playing the infinite game as well. And not just trying to maximize profits in the short term to please Wall Street. They're focusing on privacy. Who thought privacy would make money? But that wasn't what they were focused on. They weren't focused on being a business that just makes money. Because a business that just makes money is a crappy business. They're focused on their just cause. Serving their customers and their community best. Not just today, but also tomorrow and the days after. So I look back at SoFi, I look back at Anthony Noto, and I think, is he doing this? But I don't really have to think that because I already know that he's doing that. Is he in that mindset? Is he an infinite thinker? Is he playing the infinite game? This guy bought Galileo in 2020. They didn't have to do that. No one told him to do that. There was no reason to in the finite game because that cost lots of money. And if he was just playing against the rest of the fintech banks, it didn't make sense to go spend all that money on some tech company that didn't serve the main objective of the business against its competitors in the fintech space. Anthony Noto said, no, you guys can play that game. You guys play the infinite game. You guys can play your winners and losers game. I'm going to play the infinite game. And I'm going to go buy Galileo. And I'm going to give you all the tools that you need to play a better game. And hopefully you'll join me in the infinite game so that we can all serve society better and all help people get their money right. And so he bought Galileo. And now SoFi owns the infrastructure by which 95% or plus or minus of the fintech, the neobanks transactions flow through. He owns that now. SoFi owns that. They didn't have to. Anthony Noto could have taken that $1 billion and done something else with it. But no. He said there's a bigger game, a longer term game that I need to play in order to enable the long-term success of SoFi so that SoFi can continue to serve its just cause way beyond when I'm gone. And so I, as an investor, seeing that this leader isn't focused on maximizing shareholder value as his sole purpose, I, as a shareholder, ironically, I put that in air quotes because it's not ironic, it's what should happen, am happy. Because I know that's what's in the best interest of our customers and of our bottom line in the long term. And so if I can ignore the Jim Cramers and the analysts and the traders and the Wall Street bets folks who are looking for the next GameStop and the crypto folks, if I can ignore all of their nonsense in the short term and just stay invested for the long term through the ups and downs as I continue to do, I continue to buy SoFi. People say, hey, Lincoln, why are you doing that? And I say, hey, play your game. If you want to learn, watch my channel, bullacademy.org on YouTube, and you can learn what I'm saying. Because I don't have time to try to convince you. Because most people won't listen. Most people are too focused on winning and losing the finite game. My just cause is to give you all the tools and the perspective that you need and deserve to make better investment choices continuously. And also play the infinite game. And so when I was figuring out what to say, because I just wanted to come out and give you guys all an update on how I've been, what I've been doing, the idea was Jim Cramer's wrong. The analysts are wrong. The short-term investors are all wrong. The traders and the Dogecoin millionaires, they're all wrong. All of them are wrong. They're all playing the finite game, and so they're all going to lose. Most of them are going to lose. But you have a chance to be right in the long term. Because in the short term, no one knows what's right or wrong. That's why you have to be principled and make choices that are in service of your just cause in the long term. And if you do that continuously, you will eventually be right. And you will eventually benefit from the appreciation of the value of your assets. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I have a lot more to say on this. I will organize my thoughts better next time in a more planned video and share with you all what I've been learning from these books. I highly recommend that everyone read these books. The Dip, Seth Godin, A History of the US in 5 Crashes. Very important to read so you can understand why all the foolery happens and how all of that leads to all the crashes. Because people are playing finite games. And then also Start With Why, read The Infinite Game. You'll be a much better investor by reading those books over whatever other penny stock book. Also read books that aren't just about investments, but are ancillary. The ones that talk about philosophy and principles and just leadership, being a good person, being a good member of society. You'll learn a lot from those books over whatever the top day trader or swing trader has to write. You have been watching bullacademy.org on YouTube, where we teach long-term investing by breaking down concepts and sharing the stories of companies to help you build long-lasting sustainable wealth. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did and want to see more like it, please remember to like the video below, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this topic, even if you just want to say hi. Hi. I would love to hear from you, and I always do my best to respond to every comment. If you would like to engage with me outside of YouTube, feel free to follow me over on Instagram at Lincoln W. Daniel, where I share random thoughts on life and wealth building. As always, this video has been brought to you by our patrons at patreon.bullacademy.org, who support this channel financially to help us keep going and help me brainstorm new video ideas to share with all of you. We do the show together, and we do all of this in our private Discord chat, where we discuss the stock market in real time every day by sharing news, rumors, and new investment ideas, so we can all do our own research and then come back together and collaborate. So if you're interested in any of that, I hope you'll join us over at patreon.bullacademy.org. I'm Lincoln with bullacademy.org. Thank you again, and have a great day. Look what just came in the mail just a minute ago. Love it. The Infinite Game. Must read. Go read it.